In this video, I'm looking at the TANGZU Zetian Wu planar magnetic IEMs. Let's get it. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews. Look at the size of this box. Normally I get, I don't like to see these massive boxes just for an IEM, but in this case, I don't mind so much because that is just beautiful. What a stunning box. Absolutely gorgeous. It's nice on the inside too, but I won't show you that. You do get this lovely, nice big case. Pretty spectacular. Nice indeed. It's like a, oh man, I like that. Right from the get-go, you get this stunning presentation for this lady here. And there she is, the Zetian Wu. I'll tell you, the price comes in at $149. So in price-wise, we are directly in line with the Letshua S12 and S12 Pro. This has a 14.5mm planar magnetic driver, and just have a look at those shells. Beautiful, aren't they? I will say, when I first took them out of the box, they don't feel as premium as they look in photos and video. They look absolutely stunning, but when you pick them up, they're very lightweight. They don't have much heft to them at all. I'm not saying that the build quality is bad, it's just not what I expected, but they are absolutely stunning in terms of aesthetics. Of course, included with the IEMs is a high quality oxygen-free copper cable. This is a really nice cable. Nothing special about it, but it handles well, it drapes nicely, no microphonics, and it doesn't get tangled, so good all-rounder. Have you joined the planar army yet? If so, let me know which planar IEMs you've tried, which one is your favorite, let me know in the comments. But anyway, you know how I do, I don't like to mess around too much, we're going to get right into the sound. Now, the first thing to note about the Zetian Wu here is that this little lady requires more driving power than your average IEM. Despite having a fairly low impedance of 16 ohms and a standard 100 decibel sensitivity, she does like a beefier source. Nothing out of the ordinary. You probably could manage straight out of a phone, but you should at the least have a dongle DAC for these. The Zetian Wu has a fairly linear sound signature. It's pretty even across the board, although it does have a significant sub-bass lift. The mids and the treble are fairly neutral. The end result is a mature but an engaging sound, and one that always maintains its composure. This is a versatile IEM, and it works well across all music genres pretty much. Emperor Wu here can provide thumping bass for hip-hop and electronic music, and nuanced harmonics for classical works, and everything in between. So it's pretty versatile in terms of music genre. Let's have a look at the graph now. There you can see that pretty massive sub-bass elevation. That is probably the only thing that I don't love about the Zetian Wu here. I'll get to that in a minute. But let's dive deeper, starting with the bass, and in the typical 2022 style, the Zetian Wu favors the sub-bass and puts less energy into the mid-bass. She can produce some thundering rumble when necessary, but with the strict control that planar magnetic drivers are known for. The mid-bass is less impactful, but tight and quick. It's closer to neutral, the mid-bass that is, and lighter in quantity. Accordingly, the mid-bass doesn't intrude on the mids, but lingering sub-bass notes do bleed a little, imbuing the lower bands with some warmth. Although it's not offensive, I would have preferred slightly less sub-bass and more punch in the upper bass. However, one can't deny that it's a quality bass nonetheless. Onto the mid-range, and Zetian Wu's mid-range is close to neutral in color and forwardness. Depending on the music genre, the mids can become slightly recessed, especially in for example, old school hip hop tracks where there is a lot of 808 sub bass kicks, you know, the 808 drum with that heavy sub-bass decay. What I really like about the mids though is their natural note weight. Transients are fast, but they're rounded enough to sound organic and lifelike. Vocals are articulate, yet they are full-bodied. There's enough richness in male vocals and vitality in female singers to keep you engaged. Even when she raises her voice, Zetian Wu maintains her composure. She doesn't get shouty or nasally. Wu Zetian, or Zetian Wu, depending on how you say it, rules the mid-range with effective governance, allowing for optimum performance, at least that is in the absence of ebullient sub-bass. Now for the treble, and perhaps the most impressive of Zetian Wu's attributes is her treble. Clear and detailed, the treble is remarkably smooth and coherent. It's neutral in tone with just a hint of warmth added for naturalness. Zetian Wu's treble may lack sparkle, but it's airy and crisp. The extension is excellent, and the sheen of hi-hats and cymbals floats into the ether without truncation, so they're not cut off abruptly, they flow off normally and naturally. It sounds really good. You can turn up these earphones without fear of sibilance or sizzle. Her voice is clear and light, but never sharp. And finally, for the soundstage and technicalities, speed is never really a concern with planar drivers, and the Zetian Wu is no exception. Note transients are fast, but instrument and vocal notes are rounded enough to avoid sounding digital or, not completely natural. The soundstage has good proportions and is relatively large in both width and depth. Zetian Wu's instrument separation is excellent. She takes advantage of that spherical soundstage to deliver optimal positioning and precise imaging. As a result, the overall resolution and level of detail are outstanding. Let's do a couple of quick comparisons now. I'll start with the Raptgo Hook X here. Keep in mind the Raptgo Hook X is significantly more money. It's like 200 and something, 239 maybe, so it's about $100 more than the Zetian Wu. But the Hook X is more aggressive and bold in its presentation. It's more V-shaped than the Zetian Wu. It has more bass impact, especially in the mid-bass. The Hook X here has better mid-bass definition and cleaner leading edges in bass notes. The Raptgo has more vibrant and articulate vocals. In comparison, Zetian Wu's vocals are softer, but they are also more forward in the mix. They kind of lifted in the mix more, unless there's significant sub-bass in the track, which tends to kind of dominate the mids on the Wu a little bit. In some cases, not always. The Hook X's treble is more vigorous, it's more energetic and has some sparkle compared to the Wu. The extra treble gives the Hook X faster and sharper attacks on percussion hits. In addition, it widens the soundstage further. However, that extra energy can be fatiguing over time if you are sensitive to such an upfront treble presentation. So the Raptgo is more dynamic, it's more vivacious, and it has better clarity. The Zetian Wu is more subdued and even. It's got a more even tonal balance. It's a safer approach compared to the boldness of the Hook X, but for around $100 less, the Zetian Wu is a stellar performer. Next up, we've got the Let Shure S12. And the S12 follows a similar response on the graph, but in reality these two IEMs sound very different. S12's sub-bass falls off slightly or rolls off, while the Zetian Wu's just keeps climbing. As a result of that and its upper mid-range tuning, S12's bass is tighter, it has better definition and a more natural ratio, in my opinion, of mid-bass punch and sub-bass thump. That's not to say Wu's bass is bad, far from it, but I think with a little tweaking, the bass could be even better on the Wu. The S12 has more lift in the upper mid-range, giving kick drums more slam and giving pianos and acoustic guitars more clarity. In contrast, Zetian Wu's tuning brings vocals and mid-range instruments to the forefront, even if they are not as articulate as they are on the S12. Like we see with the Rapco Hook X, the S12's extra lift in the treble gives it more clarity and detail. This creates a vivid scene, while the Zetian Wu is calmer and more organic. The S12's soundstage is a little wider, but the Zetian Wu has better forward layering. Both of these planar magnetic IEMs offer spectacular performance and value. Those who seek an energetic sound with some treble zing will prefer the S12, but for the treble sensitive folk and for those who want something a little more laid back, the Zetian Wu is the one for you. So to sum up, the TANGZU Zetian Wu is a bit of a mouthful. The TANGZU Zetian Wu, look, this is a spectacular IM. It sounds phenomenal. I personally would like to see just a little bit less emphasis on the sub bass, and let's look into that for a minute. For example, with kick drums. So on the Hook X here, on the Rapco Hook X, if you got a track with nice meaty kick drums, you sort of get this boom, 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 and you get a nice punchy kick or a nice punchy slam, that leading edge, with a sub bass decay on it. However, with the Zetian Wu, it's more like a bah, ooh, bah, ooh, you know what I mean? It's got this initial hit, this initial slam, which is sort of less emphasized. It's a little bit laid back, and then you get the sub bass decay that's just powerful. So it doesn't sound quite as natural as it could. But boy, oh boy, is this a good one. I'll tell you what, if I had to choose between these three, that would be tough. That would be tough. Like, initially, I would say the Hook X is the one for me. It's very exciting to listen to. However, like I said, it can get fatiguing over time. It's a little bit energetic. Same with the S12. This is spectacular too, but again, that treble can be a little bit edgy if you're having longer listening sessions. The Zetian Wu, on the other hand, I can listen to these all day long. They may not be as exciting, they're not as contrasty and vivid, sort of, but boy oh boy, they just perform so well. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Don't forget to check out the description below for a link to the full written review and all my social media links, etc. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, ParFam audiophile style. If you are new to the channel and you want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you later.